What up, guys? It's Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in, listening to me. If you find value in them, let me know. You can show your support with the information in the description. You could also give me any feedback to make this a little more accessible for you to get what you need out of it. We're going to look at Wednesday, December 18th. This will also repeat on Sunday, the 29th. This is a run row style workout on the 2G. We have power on the treads, strength on the rower, and then endurance on the weight floor. The 3G is not a run row card one, so just be aware of that. We'll go over the kind of everything with the key concepts, talk about the treads, the rowers, talk about the weight floor, and then break down the 3G as well. So when it comes to today's workout, we're gonna have two run row blocks. Block one focuses on increasing base, and in block two, it's about boosting the all out. On the rower, you're aiming for max distance each stroke. On the floor, get ready for two blocks of stable and strong. So it's a flip of what we usually do. Stability in the BOSU, finish with strength work. All right, so looking at the treads and rower side, keep in mind, if you do have two groups, as a courtesy for the people on the treadmills, anyone who starts on the rowers, give them some wipes so that way you can wipe down the rower, and then they'll head to the weight floor for their setup. That way when the treads are going to the rowers, they do have a fresh row to use. So as we look at the treadmills here, block one and block two, they're both 11 minutes long. You have a 90-second recovery to get them set up between blocks. And on the card and on the template, they're gonna be very similar, but of course there's some small details that are different. So when we look at block one, the goal here is to increase base and maintain all out. So essentially they're gonna close the gap between them. And then they have a distance-based row where the goal is to count your strokes and then try to match it or do fewer strokes every round. So for joggers and runners, they have a 0.1 mile base into a 0.1 mile all out. Power walkers, of course, is 0.05 base, 0.05 all out. Bikes and striders, they have their distances. Now, when it comes to increasing the base for this block, joggers and runners, obviously, they're looking to increase their base speed. Power walkers, they have the choice of either increase their walk speed or increase their incline, or possibly both. Bikes and striders, same thing. Maybe they increase their gear, or they can increase their RPMs and maintain their gear, or a combination of both. No matter what, though, what we want to see is a consistency with the all out. Now, of course, on the card, it's not written out, but after that all out, if they need to take a walk, they could take a walk before they shut it down, and then they head to the rowers. On the row, it's a 100-meter push row, and they're counting their strokes. There is no call out on specific stroke rate, but with this being a strength-based focused workout for the rowers, I recommend 20 to 24. Honestly, 20 to 22 is even better. 100 meters at a push effort with a leg drive, we're probably going to see, about 7 to 10 strokes, and that's about it if they do it right. Of course, if they go way too fast, then they might be hitting, 10 to 15 strokes to complete their 100 meters. And then they're back to the treads. And so the first round, they kind of set the tone of expectation of, okay, this is where my base is, this is where my all out is. The next round, increase base, maintain all out, increase, increase, increase. And what that's gonna do is pre-fatigue the body, which will make the all out feel more challenging, even though it's the exact same thing as before. So that base, which started as active recovery, might start to approach that threshold of just under uncomfortable. So they feel the work in it, and then they hit that all out while they are fatigued, which is gonna require a lot more muscular recruitment to maintain that maximal effort. Now, in block two, distances on the treads are the same thing. So 0.1 base, 0.1 all out. And of course, power walkers are at the half of that distance. And then the rower is a 10 stroke push row. So 10 strokes, count it out like a rep. That being said, bare minimum, we should see about 10 meters per stroke. So they should get at least 100 meters here. But in all honesty, usually 12 to 15 meters is actually a good range per stroke. So most people should get between, 120 to 150 plus if they keep that stroke rate relatively low. Also keep in mind, if they have that low stroke rate, 24 up, down to maybe 20, they'll be rowing for about 20 to 30 seconds. So that's kind of a reference point for people, just to keep that in mind. Now, the key thing and that's different with this block, is for the treads, we're going to look to widen the gap again. So if they want, they could take their base back to their original base, and then they could add to their all out. They could keep that increased base and then try to add to that all out and then decrease base as they need to. Even if they started the normal base and they want to drop that even more so they could really spread the gap even bigger, they could. They'll have about 10 minutes for that. Personally, do about 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and then give them that heads up, because their finisher is their choice between a 1 minute all out on the tread or on the rower. So make sure they end up where they want to be at. They hit that 1 minute all out, timed all together at that 10-minute mark. And then of course they shut it down 11 minutes, and then we rotate the room. Now the weight floor, we are using the BOSUs today, and it's going to be stable, strong. So stability work on the BOSU, and then strong work without the BOSU incorporated. Block 1 and 2 will have 2 different back-to-backs. Now block 1 is all upper body. You have a pull and a push sequence. So block 1, they're gonna do a split stance low row, but the front foot is on the BOSU. Of course, we saw this, during 12 days of fitness. So key thing here is making sure that their body weight is on that front leg. So they're challenging that stability of the ankle. And yeah, the foot should be like shaking all over the place if they do it right. And really slow these movements down to minimize any twist and shift in the torso. That's gonna be paired up with the dumbbell pullover from the floor. As a great option for that, they could go into like strap low rows or heavy dumbbell rows with, from a hinge position. Their recommendation is like a strap Y raise, which personally to me doesn't quite hit the same musculature, but that's what they have on the template. They'll do those 2 things, rest, and then they have stable and strong with a upper body push. And we're gonna see dumbbell chest press with the shoulders on the BOSU, hips lifted for that bridge hold, and then that's gonna be paired up with a body weight push-up. Option, of course, they could drop to the knees for the push-up with the bridge holds chest press. Great option for this one is go into a closed grip position to lift that same weight. It'll be a little bit easier on the stability, because also everything's a little bit more towards that center of mass. And they'll repeat that for 11 minutes. Now, block 2, we're gonna do lower body and core. So we're gonna go into that forward lunge, and we'll step onto the BOSU, alternating legs, 10 total, and then you have a alternating goblet step out squat. Now the key thing with the forward lunge, this is one where the great option is where they place the feet on the BOSU. Obviously, if they step right on top, that's gonna be way more challenging, but if they step closer on the side towards them, it's gonna be a little bit less intense. Also, body weight. Get rid of the dumbbells, really work on stability, because the forward lunge is such a crucial movement pattern that a lot of people stray away from, generally because form isn't there, and therefore it hurts their knees. But that forward lunge is how we could train, deceleration by using your quads. So when we are thinking about outside and how to implement this and bring to life, for the people who go outside and they go for hikes and walks outside and they go up and down trails, or even if they do like trail running, we don't do any downward motions like on the treadmill, because obviously ours don't decline. But that forward lunge is how we could train the quads and the knees to be strong to support you when you go downhill. So this is a great movement to try to incorporate and focus on using it as much as possible, rather than, oh, you can't do forward lunges, well, let's just do reverse lunges, because it's not gonna be the same stimulus for that. Goblet step out squat, this obviously just going straight to the side, so it's not the transverse squat, there should be no rotation. And then they're gonna pair that up with the core work of a low side plank hip dip from the BOSU, and then the dumbbell full V up, and that's gonna be where one leg comes up, they do the V up, the next rep, the other leg comes up, so they'll alternate. And that is with the dumbbell, so they could go body weight as an option. And then their finisher is their choice of either body weight push-ups or the V up. And that's gonna be the 2G. Now the 3G, very different. There's no cards for this one. It's all going to be timed with the treads. They have 2 blocks there, 90-second recovery. Rowers will also have 2 blocks, and then the weight floor is going to be one long block where they kind of combine certain aspects of the 2G. So on the treadmill side, we're going to see 3 rounds of a 30-second base, 45-second all out, and then an increase in walk recovery. So the first round, it's a 30-second walk recovery. The next round is 45 seconds. And then the final round is a 1 minute all out that leads into a bonus 30-second all out. Okay. Now this first block has the same goal as the 2G. So we are looking to increase the base and maintain the all out. That being said, you know, the short walk recovery leads into that base. So there is really, you know, from round 1 into round 2, they have that 30-second walk into a 30-second base. They really have like 1 minute of recovery before that all out. Then they'll have 45 seconds to 30, so 75-second recovery. And then of course, with that bonus, it's a 1 minute straight walk. So they should feel really good leading into that last all out, and it's shorter. Second block, time domains are exactly the same with the same goal of the 2G. So we want to increase the all out in this block. And then there's no call out specific to the base on the template itself, but you know, if they can maintain base, great. If they need to pull back, pull back. Now the rowers, we're gonna see 2 blocks. Block 1, this is gonna be like block 2 from the 2G, focus with a stroke row. You're gonna have a med ball exercise to start, squat to upward rotation. This is gonna be similar to like the thruster with rotation. So they squat down, they rotate, they press, and then they'll do the same set, 5 on each. And then they'll do a 10 stroke push row. Just like before, you know, about 120 to maybe 150 or more on that distance if they keep that stroke rate low. They want to rest after that and then repeat. Most likely they'll get about 3, maybe 4 rounds in. The second block, we're going to see a med ball alternate and step out squat. So goblet position with that med ball, 10 reps, and then 100-meter push row like the block 1 from the 2G. Count and remember strokes, rest, and then try to match or decrease their stroke count. Now for the weight floor, we're gonna have 3 back-to-backs. We're gonna see the upper body push and pull, and then the core back-to-back from the 2G. So they're gonna eliminate the lower body one simply because we do the squats over at the rower. The other thing too is we're gonna do 2 rounds of every back-to-back. So they'll do the low row, pull over, rest, do it again. Then chest press, push up, rest, do it a second time. And then plank dip, V up, rest, do it a second time. And then after that, they'll do all 6 as one big block. And then their finisher is any of the strong movements. So the pullover, the push up, or the full V up for the final 30 seconds. And that's a 3G. Once again, 2Gs will have a tread card, so definitely get them set up for success with that. 3Gs are gonna be timed, so be on top of that. Be mindful of your times for transitions. Other than that, best of luck, coach it down.